Hi everyone! This short explainer is all about helping us here at Kent Business College feel really confident and prepared for Ofsted. And we're going to do that by focusing on what truly matters, the impact of our everyday work.
Right. We all know the feeling. That email lands in your inbox and just like that, everything changes. The pressure's on and the countdown has officially begun. But, what happens next is what makes all the difference.
For a lot of people, the first instinct is, well, it's panic, isn't it? It's this mad scramble, a flurry of activity, all focused on getting ready for this one big event. But honestly, this pre-inspection panic can often send us completely down the wrong path.
I'm sure this scene feels pretty familiar to all of us. The first thing we think is, right, paperwork. We're hunting for signatures, printing out stacks of training plans, checking all the logs, and building that giant legendary evidence folder. It all comes from this idea that an inspection is basically a big document audit.
But this is where we need to just stop and ask ourselves a really important question. With all this frantic preparation, all this focus on creating paperwork for the inspection, are we completely missing the point?
So instead, we need a totally different mindset. We've got to shift our focus away from the paperwork and onto the impact. You see, Ofsted isn't coming here to inspect a folder. They're here to see the real-world effect our work has on our apprentices.
Okay, if you only take one thing away from this explainer, please let it be this. Evidence isn't something we create for an inspection, it's the natural result of doing our jobs well day in and day out. It's the story that our everyday actions tell.
What inspectors really want to see is learning in action. They want to talk to an apprentice who can say, I learned this, and here's how it helps me do my job better. They want to hear from an employer who says, yes, I can see a real change in their performance. That's the stuff that really matters.
So this whole impact-focused approach is built on three really simple but very powerful principles. First, impact always wins over paperwork. Second, we trust in our consistent systems, not just a few one-off success stories. And third, our real goal is to always be improving, not just ticking boxes to say we're compliant.
Okay, so that all sounds good in theory, right? But what does it actually look like in practice? Well, let's have a look at how your daily work is already creating all the powerful proof of impact that Ofsted is looking for.
Let's walk through a pretty common scenario. A coach, just doing a normal tripartite review, spots that an apprentice is starting to struggle a bit. So they work with the employer and agree on a support plan. Maybe it involves some assistive tech. The coach then makes sure to follow up to see if those changes are actually helping. And then, the best bit, the apprentice starts to show new skills and real confidence at work.
You see, that whole journey from spotting a problem to seeing the apprentice succeed, that is the evidence. The review notes, the plan, and most of all, the apprentice's improved performance. It all tells a real, authentic story of impact. We didn't have to create a single extra bit of paper for an inspector.
Now, a big part of any inspection is the professional conversations you'll have. And look, it's not a test. It's just a chance for you to explain the why behind what you do. When you're confident in your systems, these chats actually become pretty straightforward.
So imagine this. An inspector turns to you and asks this question. It's a big one, right? And the answer isn't in some document. The answer is in our process.
A great response, like this one, is just you explaining how we do things. It shows we have a plan, that our curriculum is carefully built around the knowledge, skills, and behaviors. It shows we check that the learning is sticking, and this is the crucial part, that we talk to employers to make sure that learning is turned into real skill in the workplace.
Okay, let's try another one. A really vital question about inclusion for apprentices with special educational needs and disabilities. And again, the answer isn't a policy, it's the actions we take every single day.
See, that's a confident, clear answer. It shows we have a system, we find out what's needed right at the start, we work together to get support in place, and we use our reviews to check that the support is actually making a difference. It's all about being proactive.
So what's the real difference between a provision that's just okay and one that's genuinely strong or even outstanding? Well, it all comes down to how consistent and deep that impact really is. On one side, you have strong practice. The apprentice gets it. They can tell you exactly how the training helps them, and their boss can see the difference it makes. But on the other side, that connection is missing. The training feels separate from the job, and the employer isn't really involved. An inspector can spot that difference a mile off.
And of course, these differences link directly to the Ofsted grades.
A provider that needs attention is often just inconsistent. Some things are good, some aren't. Some apprentices get great support, others might slip through the net. But a strong standard is all about consistency. It's when our high-quality approach is the same for everyone, and our support systems help every single apprentice to fly.
And the fantastic news is, this is what strong provision looks like right here at KBC. These aren't things we do for Ofsted. This is just how we work. Our structured reviews, our carefully planned curriculum, our quick reactions when an apprentice needs help, and the fact that our leaders use real data to make decisions. This is our standard.
And all of this brings us to what is probably the most important shift in thinking of all. It's about getting away from the idea of getting ready for an inspection and instead just being ready every single day.
An inspection isn't a big performance that we have to spend weeks rehearsing for. It's just a snapshot. What the inspectors see is simply what a normal day is like for an apprentice at Kent Business College. Our aim is just to make our normal so good that we're ready anytime, any day.
So let's end on this one critical point. You don't manufacture strong evidence, you earn it. It's the natural result of our professional commitment to our apprentices and employers, which we show through our great work day in and day out.
So, from now on, let's change the question we ask. It's not, are we ready for Ofsted? The much better question, the one we should be asking ourselves every day, is this: how does our daily work already prove our impact? Thanks so much for your time.